In the beginning, before time had a name and before stars had learned to burn, there was only silence, a silence so vast it could swallow thought itself. From that void, Ginnungagap, the great nothingness between fire and frost, came the first breath of creation. Where the warm winds of Muspelheim met the frozen mist of Niflheim, life began to tremble. A giant named Ymir rose from that meeting, his breath forming clouds, his sweat birthing the first of his kind, and from his body the gods would carve a world. When Ymir fell, the sons of Bor, Odin, Vili, and Ve, used his flesh for earth, his bones for mountains, and his blood for the endless sea. His skull became the sky, held high by 4 dwarves at the corners of the world. From his hair grew forests, and from his brain the clouds drifted slowly across the newborn heavens. The gods looked upon their work and found it beautiful, yet empty. So Odin breathed life into 2 trees upon the shore, and from them came the first humans, Ask and Embla. The age of gods had begun. In the south rose Asgard, realm of the Aesir, lords of sky, war, and wisdom. They were the rulers of thunder and judgment, the keepers of law and strength. Among them stood Odin, the All-Father, one eye bright with knowledge, the other lost to the well of Mimir in exchange for truth. Thor, his son, the hammer-bearer, the protector of man, whose rage could shatter mountains and whose laughter echoed in the thunder. And Loki, the whisper in the storm, half blood, half lie, a trickster whose mind burned brighter than loyalty itself. They were the Aesir, the high gods of might, dwelling in golden halls that shimmered like sunrise. But far to the west, beyond the rivers of mist and the roots of the world tree, there lay another race of gods, gentler, deeper, closer to the soil, the Vanir. They were not forged from battle, but from the pulse of the earth itself. They ruled fertility, magic, and the quiet language of nature. From among them rose a goddess whose name would be whispered across every realm, Freya, daughter of Njord, god of the sea, and twin sister to Freyr, lord of harvest and peace. She was beauty given form, light wrapped in golden silk. Yet her beauty was not meek. It was fierce, wild, and divine, as though she carried the sun within her veins. She rode a chariot, drawn by 2 silver cats, eyes glowing with the light of creation. Her laughter could calm storms, and her tears could turn to gold before they touched the ground. Her power was Satyr, the ancient magic that could weave the threads of destiny, bend hearts, and shape the unseen. Through Satyr, she saw the future as others saw daylight. Through Satyr, she changed the course of gods and men alike. When Freya came to Asgard, the Aesir marveled at her gifts, but also feared them. She taught them her craft, the art of knowing, the art of desire, and in time they grew jealous of her mastery. They called her Gulveig, gold greed, accusing her of tempting their hearts and softening their strength. They tried to destroy her. They burned her once, and she rose from the ashes. They burned her again, and still she returned. 3 times they set her aflame, and 3 times she was reborn. From her ashes, war ignited. The first war the heavens had ever known. The Vanir and Aesir clashed across the 9 realms. Magic against might, spells against steel. The rivers ran red with light and thunder, and the sky split under the weight of their rage. Yet after years beyond counting, they grew weary. Neither could win, so they laid down their weapons and sealed peace through exchange. Freya, her brother Freyr, and their father Njord journeyed to Asgard, while Honir and Mimir were sent to Vanaheim. It was an uneasy peace, bound by oath and broken trust, but from that truce was born something eternal, a union of sky and soil, wisdom and desire. In Asgard, Freya shone brighter than ever. The gods could not look away. Her presence softened hearts. Her voice carried through the halls like a song older than memory. She became the keeper of Folkvanger, the field of the people, where half of the fallen warriors would rest after death. The other half belonged to Odin in Valhalla, but where Odin's hall echoed with battle cries and endless feasts, Folkvanger was silent. It was peace after pain, a golden meadow under an eternal dusk. Those who had fought bravely, but also loved deeply, found their rest there, beneath her gaze. Freya's life was not untouched by sorrow. She loved a god named Odr, a wanderer, passionate and wild, but he was destined to roam, cursed by longing itself. When he vanished into the far reaches of the world, Freya searched every realm to find him. Her grief was endless. Wherever she walked, her tears fell as molten gold, staining rivers and fields with her sorrow. Even the sun dimmed in pity. They say gold's beauty came from her pain, that every gleam carries a memory of her loss. Yet Freya was not only the goddess of love, she was a warrior, too. On the battlefield, when the clash of steel grew still, she walked among the dead, choosing which souls to bring home. She was both tenderness and terror, the giver of life and the witness of death. And in her duality, she became something greater than the gods themselves, the balance that holds heaven together. There were tales whispered of her power, of how desire itself bent to her will. Once, when the gods sought a fortress to guard Asgard, a giant mason offered to build it in exchange for the sun, the moon, and Freya's hand in marriage. The gods agreed, certain he could not finish in time, but his stallion, Svadilfari, worked with such strength that the wall neared completion before the final day. The gods panicked. To save themselves, they turned to Loki, who became a mare and lured the stallion away. When the giant's work failed, Thor's hammer struck him down and Freya was spared. Yet even in victory, her name had been bartered like a coin, the goddess of love, sold and saved in the same breath. There was another tale, darker still, of the Brisingamen, the necklace that glowed like a captured sun. 4 dwarves forged it deep beneath the earth, a piece of beauty so perfect it could bend even the divine. Freya desired it, for she saw in it the reflection of her own spirit, radiant and untamed. The dwarves agreed to give it to her, but only for a price, 4 knights, one with each of them, and so she paid, not in shame, but in sovereignty. For power has always demanded a cost. Yet Loki, ever watching, stole the necklace and brought it to Odin, exposing her secret. Odin returned it only when Freya promised to weave endless war among men, battles that would not cease until the world's final dawn. They say that promise became the seed of Ragnarok itself. And Ragnarok did come. A winter without end swept the 9 realms. Brothers turned against brothers. The great serpent Jörmungandr rose from the sea, and the wolf Fenrir broke his chains. The sky burned, the earth trembled. The gods gathered for their final stand. Odin rode into battle, knowing death awaited him. Thor faced the serpent, striking even as poison filled his lungs. Freyr fell to the fire giant Surtur, his sword lost to time, and through it all, Freya watched in silence. She did not raise her weapon. She did not call the wind or weave new fate, for she knew the end was already written, and that even gods must yield to what they cannot change. When the final fire faded, and the seas rose to swallow the world, there was quiet again, the same quiet that had existed before creation. But from the ashes, new life stirred. Grass grew where flames had raged. The sun's daughter rose in her mother's place, shining on a world reborn. The surviving gods, Baldur, Hödur, and a few others, returned to walk the new earth. Yet some say Freya still remained unseen in the dusk between worlds, tending to her field of fallen souls, waiting for her lost lover to return. And when the northern sky comes alive and ribbons of light dance across the frozen night, people say it is her presence, Freya, the lady of love and war, still weeping gold for what was lost, still blessing the earth she once walked. Her name lives in every whisper of the north wind, in every heart that dares to love, despite knowing it may break. For she was not merely a goddess. She was the echo of creation itself, the proof that beauty and pain are born from the same fire, that desire is both curse and crown, and that even in endings, there are beginnings waiting to be found. And so, when you gaze upon the golden horizon of a fading sun, remember her, the goddess who crossed between war and tenderness, who stitched destiny with her tears, and whose story was not of conquest, but of endurance. Freya, the heart of the North. Her legend, older than kings, deeper than the sea, still lingers in the silence after thunder, still breathes in the shimmer of gold upon the frost, and still reminds us that even the gods were once human enough to weep.